Hey there. I stopped you going a little fast. You realize this is 35?
That's a traffic stop of Bryan Kohberger in Moscow, never seen by the public until now.
Just for future reference, I mean, I'm obviously an honest person. I told you I wasn't wearing my safety belt.
I'll tell you why this traffic stop mattered and why his defense team did not want jurors to see it at his trial. Plus, I have new details about Kohberger's strange behavior after the murders and the lies that he told. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Back in August of 2022, you and we had never heard the name Bryan Kohberger. Why would we have? Now he's infamous, an admitted murderer of 4 beautiful college students. In late June of 2022, Kohberger had moved from Pennsylvania to Washington State to start his PhD studies in criminology and criminal justice at Washington State University. He was living in Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho, the home to another college, was just a short 15-minute drive away. The two cities were like one big community, really, and Moscow was known to have better shopping. So someone driving from Pullman to Moscow, it wouldn't be a big deal. It would not raise eyebrows. On August 21st, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was in Moscow. It was a Sunday night, the night before classes began for the fall semester at the University of Idaho. It was just after 11:30 p.m. when Deputy Darren Duke of the Latah County Sheriff's Office stopped Kohberger near a shopping center. A grocery store, Winco, is right there. I actually stayed at a hotel at the intersection where Kohberger was pulled over. It's a busy intersection. But what would become significant about this traffic stop months later was the location where it happened, the date, and the time of night. The traffic stop took place at the corner of Farm Road and Pullman Road, less than 2 miles from the house on King Road. Now, we have no way of knowing whether Bryan Kohberger was in the King Road neighborhood that night. Maybe he was just at the store. He was a night out after all. But the prosecution kept the traffic stop video under wraps to use at trial. So let's take a look.
Like down through China traffic.
Pullman and Farm with Pennsylvania. Lincoln Frank Zebra 8649. Hey there. I stopped you going a little fast. You realize this is 35?
Oh, it's 35?
It is, yeah. So you go
about 41?
Yeah, 43 is what the radar said.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Do you have your license, the registration, insurance?
It is.
Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped you?
No.
No? That's no good.
Just being honest with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You guys are... There's absolutely no point not being honest.
Yeah.
You have the radar.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a vehicle registration slip or something like that? Okay.
Would I give you my insurance?
Yeah, this is your insurance. That's good.
So this traffic stop is pretty routine. You can see Deputy Duke approach the vehicle, and you get a decent view of the white Elantra from the body-worn camera. Duke asks for Kohberger's license, pretty standard stuff.
Thing is, I'm on a overtime shift right now. One of the conditions is we have to enforce seatbelt laws, and so to write you a citation for that, it's $10 in Idaho. Not a huge deal, but yeah. Be right back. Latah 329, code 4 George Strike, Washington. Last name Kohberger, King Ocean Henry, Boy Edward Robert, George Edward Robert, first Brian, Boy Robert Young, Adam Nora, middle C.
to Pennsylvania, valid 2024 and clear.
I want to tell you about OneSkin. They are sponsoring today's episode of Crime Fix. Let's be honest, being on camera as much as I am, having the right skincare products matters a lot. Our skin changes as we get older. Dryness, deeper wrinkles, even crepiness can be frustrating, but there's a game changer out there, and it's called OneSkin. OneSkin was founded by an all-woman team of scientists who developed the proprietary OS-01 peptide. This peptide targets cellular senescence, a key hallmark of aging. It's scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with thinning skin. They have over 4,000 five-star reviews for their full line of face, body, sun, and travel-size products. One of the things I like most about OneSkin is how easy it is to integrate it into my daily routine. Just a few simple steps and I'm good to go. For a limited time, you can try OneSkin and get 15% off using the code CRIMEFIX when you check out at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with the code CRIMEFIX. And remember to tell them we sent you when they ask you where you heard about them. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Trust me. Kohberger's license came back with no issues, so Duke went back to Kohberger and the Elantra.
All right, sir, here's your license back. It's here, just an infraction citation. The only thing you're alleging, failure to wear your seatbelt on the traffic stop. Like I said, the fine at that's $10. You do have the right to a hearing on this if you'd like one. If you'd like hearing, you need to request it before September 8th at 8:30. Otherwise, they'll automatically be entered against you. You'll lose the right to the hearing. You just wanted to pay it. The mailing address there, website right there.
Yeah, I just have a question about that. So in terms of when you get a speeding ticket, that's obviously reported to your insurance. Is that the same thing with the seatbelt?
I don't think so. I think it's only moving violations that go to insurance, or things that might put points on your license.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Long is what I'm saying.
Okay. Could I get a phone number from you?
Yeah, why?
We need to put it on the citation as it goes to the court.
And just for future reference, I mean, I'm obviously an honest person, right? I told you I wasn't wearing my safety belt. When people lie to you about that, say I lied to you about that, right? Just for my own knowledge. Do you honestly go back and look at that, or do you just...
With a seatbelt like this, I didn't check as I was coming up, so that's why I asked you.
Do you usually?
I should. I noticed you weren't wearing it, and I'm on this emphasis, and like I said, I'm getting paid by ICD, and they want us to enforce the seatbelt law, so I was being more aware of that. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have a good night.
So you saw Bryan Kohberger asking some questions there. Why does the officer need his phone number? And he gave a hypothetical. Say I lied to you. Would you go check that out? So it's no surprise his lawyers didn't want that shown at trial. Here's his former lawyer, Alyssa Masseth, during a hearing in April, where she asked that the prosecution be barred from showing that video to the jury.
In this video, things that make it more prejudicial than probative are that it provides presence in Moscow. It is at night. It is a visual of the car that is not just the make and model. It is Mr. Kohberger's statement that he doesn't think seatbelts provide much in the way of safety. Mr. Kohberger's question about why they need his phone number. Mr. Kohberger's question about how the officer reacts when people lie to him about wearing a seatbelt. If the court allows this evidence in, the state has the ability to use this to make many other points beyond identity. And the jury would have the ability to potentially seek to ask to rewatch the video and draw other conclusions that we are worried about, such as I mentioned, him being at night, not wanting to, it being at night, him not wanting to give his phone number, which could be construed as he wants to hide his identity.
Date of this traffic stop?
Pardon?
Remind me of the date of the traffic stop.
It is on August 21st.
Of course, the prosecution felt it was relevant and wanted the jury to see this. It's Kohberger driving around Moscow late at night. They were going to present testimony at trial that his cell phone was within a football field of the King Road house 23 times. between July and November.
Just because it's prejudicial and just because the defendant doesn't like the fact that we can prove who he is, that we can prove what car he's driving, that we can prove what his phone number is, that we can prove his address. I mean, those are all things that tie together to connect the defendant to the homicides. Just because they don't like that isn't a basis to object to it.
Judge Hippler decided to allow the prosecution to introduce the traffic stop video with some redactions. That traffic stop came a couple of months before another one in Pullman, Washington, where a Washington State police officer stopped Kohberger on October 14th, 2022.
Hello, officer. I am Officer Loangus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You ran the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so
I was
forced
behind
to
you the
turn
whole
left.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you run the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep.
So you heard Kohberger there try to tell the officer what happened, but she quickly countered with what she said actually happened.
So would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck like in their intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done been? Just
You're
back up
not
in that
supposed to
situation?
block an intersection like that in Washington, so just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation, and then you're running a red light, so it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection until you can go, because a lot of people do what you just did, right? Is like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then it turns, and then you're blocking, so.
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure what they were doing, and then they put on their light to turn. So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh.
Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, like right before I made the turn, there was someone who like made a right. They didn't have their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go, so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up and not.
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation, because you're either going to back up into somebody or you're going to run a red light. So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection.
Yeah.
There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just slightly into the crosswalk, so where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you're kind of slightly, there's a little bit more leeway as well.
So there, Kohberger said they don't have crosswalks where he is from in Pennsylvania. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But his conversation later continued with the officer who did not cite him.
I'm actually just from a very rural area, so we just don't have crosswalks.
Oh.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to
No, not at all. Like, I understand you're not from here, so if you don't, a lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like, I only know it because this is what I do, but yeah.
Now, we all know what happened now. Recently, Kohberger decided to plead guilty, and it was a little bit of a surprise, but really not. And now he's been sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences for the murders of Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Kohberger was essentially a night stalker. The prosecution would have argued at trial that he was prowling around the King Road neighborhood, circling like a vulture, looking for a place to strike, and he made his move in the early morning hours of November 13th. Now we're getting more information from Moscow police reports about Kohberger's movements the day of the murders and what he said and did afterward. One report says a person identified as T told me when they turned eastbound on the highway from the bridge, she saw a man walking in the grassy area between the river and the highway. This was in Clarkston, Washington. T stated she thought this was strange as there was nothing for anyone to be doing there. T stated that the man was walking eastbound and noticed her staring at him. T said the man looked up at her and then appeared to look down and avoid her gaze. I asked T what the man looked like. T told me she had seen much of the news coverage regarding Kohberger, and that was what came to her mind, but that she was not certain he was the person she saw. I asked her if the man she saw would match Kohberger's appearance, and she said it would. I asked T what the man was wearing, and she told me she thought it was strange as the man was wearing nice clothes. I asked if business casual was a fair classification, and she said it was. So the person identified as T in the report believed that the person hanging out near the bridge, near the river, resembled Kohberger. What's interesting about this is it very well could have been him based on the clothing description. Remember the selfie Bryan Kohberger took that morning around 9:30 a.m.? Well, he was wearing clothes that are definitely business casual. So was the person T saw near the river Bryan Kohberger? It could have been. Here's what Prosecutor Bill Thompson said at the plea hearing about Kohberger's movements after he took the selfie.
The defendant's phone then went to the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, approximately 30 miles south of Moscow and Pullman. And the defendant is actually seen with his car at various businesses down there. This area is the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River. Lewiston is Idaho's seaport. Large bodies of moving water down there.
And here's another interesting bit of information from a fellow TA of Kohberger's at Washington State University. In 2023, months after Kohberger's arrest, a teaching assistant at WSU who shared an office with Kohberger told police that he considered him a friend and thought he was very intelligent, but also very selfish, and also felt he wasn't honest. The man said Kohberger would mislead him often when it came to their shared work and would have him complete work meant for Kohberger. This man, whose name is redacted, said Kohberger often talked about wanting a girlfriend. Pretty interesting that Kohberger talked about wanting a girlfriend often and that he used his position as a TA to inappropriately interact with female students. The man said after the murders, Kohberger was more talkative, and there were other things. I'll call the man L. Brett Payne wrote, L then told us about some injuries he witnessed on Kohberger's face and hands. L was unsure of the date, but stated he thought he noticed the injuries on 2 separate occasions in October and November of 2022. L stated one injury was a large scratch on Kohberger's face, which L described as looking like the scratches from fingernails. L said he also saw wounds to Kohberger's knuckles on 2 separate occasions. When L asked Kohberger about what happened to him, Kohberger replied he had been in a car accident. L also stated Kohberger was frequently 20 minutes late to classes. I asked L what he and Kohberger would talk about, and L said Kohberger liked to discuss his areas of study, which was criminal decision-making and burglary-type crimes. Now that is chilling, given Kohberger's guilty plea. Another interesting bit of information, L told police that Kohberger had planned to fly home for winter break to Pennsylvania, but he later learned that Kohberger had driven back to Pennsylvania with his father. So Kohberger had apparently planned to fly home, but it sounds like that plan changed sometime in December. Here's body-worn camera video from one of 2 traffic stops in Indiana in mid-December.
Hello. How you doing? How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. I'll hold you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're scanning.
What's WSU?
University, basically. That is 14 area.
So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University,
Yeah.
and you're going where?
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're slightly punchy because we're driving for hours.
Hours, days.
Hours to drive. Well, almost a day.
Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing?
Yeah, there was a mass shooting and everything.
We now know that the FBI identified Kohberger as the suspect on December 19th and told Moscow PD to look at him as a suspect, which they did. Pennsylvania State Police and the FBI started surveilling Kohberger after that. They saw him putting his trash in neighbors' trash cans and wearing rubber gloves in stores. He was taken into custody during a SWAT raid on his parents' home after midnight on December 30th, 2022, and told police they should get coffee when this was over. When questioned by Detective Gilbertson from Idaho State Police and Moscow Police Corporal Brett Payne, he asked for a lawyer when the topic of Moscow came up and whether Kohberger could tell them anything about it. Kohberger was asked if he followed the news and said of course he did and knew about what happened in Moscow. Detectives later found many screen grabs about the murders on his cell phone.
We went into this interview, we used a lot of influence and guidance from the FBI and their behavioral analysis unit. They helped us a ton in framing our interview strategy, rather. When we spoke to Mr. Kohberger, we kept it pretty surface level to begin with, the idea being get him to speak and keep him speaking. It was pretty surface level, and then when we tried to get into things a bit more detail, he decided to end the interview. So that's pretty much
as soon as we tried to walk into the purpose of why we're there, which obviously he knows we're detectives from Idaho, so that's when we really started to shut down, and then he just shut it down. So
what was his demeanor?
Calm, relaxed.
Say very similar to what you see and whenever you see him in court.
Kohberger is now serving his 4 consecutive life sentences at Idaho's maximum security institution. He's known simply as inmate 163214. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.